What's up, everybody? Another episode of From the Pink Seats podcast coming to you. This time we are previewing Stanford. We're getting ready to make our maiden voyage in the Atlantic Coast Conference out to see the beautiful Pacific Ocean to take on the Stanford Cardinal. Me and Vince Lococo, we're going to talk about what we expect to see from Stanford. Our friend Matt McGavick shot us over some stats, so we're going to be plagiarizing some Matt stats in this episode. We got around the ACC in 60-ish seconds, and who knows what else comes up with the two of us talking. So we'll see you all in just a second.
I want to see some Pierce Clarkson action, but you just reminded me of Remember the Titans. Run it up, Herman! Where he looks over after the blitz all night. Yeah.
Like, I love Pierce, but I may have caught myself watching a little bit of Deuce Adams highlight action over the bye weekend. Hello and welcome to another episode of From the Pink Seats podcast here on the State of Louisville Podcast Network. I'm producer Keith. With me is Vince Lococo. And yeah, before we do anything, audio listeners, get in there. Make sure you're subscribed to the audio feed. Do it if you're cool. YouTube audience, get down there, hit that subscribe button. And then Vince, what do you want the YouTube audience to comment?
We love you, Matt.
Yeah.
Do it.
Everyone just get in the comments and tell Matt you love him. So do that. So
that's the only compliment I'm giving you out of the night, Matt.
Hey, you know what? All right, I'm going to go back to ragging on Matt here for a second. It's better than just commenting Kennesaw State.
Yes.
But we do love you, Matt. Yeah, Matt and Jacob both having things pop up, so it's just us tonight. So there's no rules, Vince.
Yeah, I know. They're really letting us run rampant tonight. This is not. Who knows where these conversations might.
This is like when you're 11, 12 years old and your parents finally decide they want to go out and have a date night and they don't want to pay a babysitter. It's like, you're old enough. Take care of yourself.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm in charge.
That's exactly what happened. I mean, if Jacob was going to test this out on any week, I think Stanford week is the week that is most applicable for this for us to take over this. So
I don't know what you mean by that. I respect every opponent and think that all of them warrant a lot of very deep, insightful conversation.
Deep, insightful conversation for sure. Respect for sure. Think we're gonna lose? No.
Well, I will say one thing. If we're gonna lose anything, it might be the uniform battle. So little date in the episode. This is the uniforms for what we're wearing on the road trip dropped maybe 30, 40 minutes before we hit record on this bad boy. And I have thoughts.
It's not. I'm sure we're having the same thoughts because it's not our best work, to say the least.
It's not, and I get it. Stanford wore like a Power Rangers red helmet this year, so you don't want to wear a red helmet when they're trying to wear a red helmet, but like, just go white helmet, red face mask, white jersey, red pants.
I mean, you could go, I love the all white. The white helmet, white face mask look with I just think with there not being that black outline on the shoulder sleeve for our away jerseys, I mean, we've talked about it. It just doesn't mesh well with the color schemes and everything. The U of L uniform tracker is killing it with how they're tracking. I'm so happy we have one of those accounts. Those are awesome.
Yeah, like. And I don't know if it's uniform budget or something like that, but it seems like we only have 3 jerseys to pick from. Whereas like, if we're going to wear like a black helmet, it'd be cool to like take a page out of basketball's book and inverse the red and the black on the uniform. See how that looks.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Or a lot of people like the red helmet with Heisman Louis. Just wear that. God,
I'm a sucker for the cherry red chrome helmets. I know you hate, but I'm a sucker for them.
Yeah. So uniform opinion, like, and look, I'm the designated Louisville uniform hater, even though I think their base uniforms top tier, one of the best in the game. Yeah, not their best work. I'll give it like, you know what? You tried. C-. You're getting a passing grade, but you shouldn't be proud of it.
On the boom meter, it gets 2 booms. So,
Oh.
boom, boom. It's all good.
That's all. It's only getting 2 booms.
Yeah,
So,
2 booms.
well, you know what always gets 5 booms in my book?
What is that?
It's our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. We are in the heart of football season. Don't tell me we're at the back half of it because I refuse to believe that. We're
Agree
still in the
completely.
heart of football season.
Yes.
And you all already know one of my favorite pastimes is making picks with our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the best place to cash in this football season. Think you know better than your friends which players are going off? Which ones are ice cold? Make your entries in just a few taps and turn your picks into money. And more importantly, bragging rights over your friends. One of my favorite features is that if one of your picks goes down with an untimely injury, with Underdog Rescue, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. Last weekend, I actually got rescued because I had a pick involving Nico Iamaialava and he got injured and I got rescued. They were my heroes. They came in. They were a knight in shining armor. They kicked in the door to the burning building, swooped me off my feet, and they started singing the Bodyguard song that our friend Matt McGavick sang so well. And I'm not going to put me doing that on the internet. But they came in and they rescued my entry. It was freaking awesome, and it made my night. If you're a fan of the NFL, you'll love Underdog's Red Zone Rush, a game where you just pick whether or not a player will score a touchdown by swiping right for yes, left for no. Simple as that. Plus, your entry will automatically be boosted, and you'll get a 51% profit boost when you play. Personally, I'm more of a college guy, and for a little bit of a preview of this episode coming up, I have a hunch I'm going to be wearing that higher button out on a few cards with their upcoming matchup against Stanford. So, download the app today and use code PINKSEATS to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, that's promo code PINKSEATS to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Select higher or lower in your favorite players and cash in on Underdog. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Thanks, Underdog Fantasy.
And just to throw them some love. I mean, I'm a UFC fan, so I mean,
Yeah.
I love the stuff that they do with MMA. I mean, the big thing I like is the fight time, the higher or lower on the fight time. I feel like that is something that it's not easy to hit, but you can gauge on it a lot better than something else, just knowing who all's fighting and stuff. Like a guy like Bo Nickel, who's fighting on Saturday, I'm going lower on his 4.5-minute fight time, which is insane to think about. But Bo Nickel is one of the best wrestlers in Penn State history and is likely just going to double leg this guy and just hammer fist him to the ground.
Okay.
John Jones is fighting Saturday too. That's always a fun one. So,
Now
and Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. Who you got in that one?
I was literally just about to ask you if they had entries for that on there. Also,
I don't know. Let's look.
Like the smart money's Paul, right? Like again, this is our 2 minutes of garbage time. Actually, you know what? It's our whole show. This whole show might be garbage time, folks. We're going to talk about the game some too, so stay tuned. But
I'm not seeing anything. It's looking in MMA. Sorry, I was
okay
in the sport of MMA. But I personally, I've seen videos at this point that I'm back to I'm absolutely terrified of Mike Tyson.
Oh, I never stopped being terrified of him, but
well, it's just like he went through that old man phase where you saw him limping into a UFC event with a cane, and I'm like, oh my god, he literally has straps on his shoes right now. Like this guy's gonna fight
making
Jake
a comeback.
But he looks phenomenal right now. Like Mike Tyson looks phenomenal. But I think Mike Tyson's gonna win. I said it. There you go. I said it. Live air. 13 minutes in the show.
If he does, it would have to be if it's not in the first round, I don't know if he's going to get it.
Dude,
So,
I mean, I think it's 11 rounds is what they're doing. But it's yeah, I agree. The longer here we go. Mike Tyson versus Paul. Higher or lower, knockouts. point 5.5. Gonna have to go higher on that one, man.
Oh man, we're gonna lose Vince. Close the underdog app for now, Vince. Come on,
Yeah,
come on.
exactly. It's pretty. But yes, underdog, we love you. Thank you.
Yeah. So to get back onto the task at hand, Stanford. We're coming off a bye week. I know earlier in the season, Coach Rom had talked about like, oh, I hate bye weeks because they get us out of a rhythm. His tone seemed to change a little bit after we got as banged up as we did through that 7-game gauntlet. And he's like, you know what? Bye week came at a good time to get some guys rested up and back. Austin Collins, I hope one of the guys who's back just because favorite player on the team right now. So want to see my
it's gonna be a weird spot, man. I mean, Renato looked phenomenal with that. So with filling in for Austin, so it's like, do you give it right back to Austin, or I'm sure there's gonna be just a healthy mix of both of them at this point. Now that
it's a
Renato's shown he can do it.
do we let Gonzalez sit a little bit because he's not looked phenomenal this year,
I
but
mean, I'm sure you can get a 3-man rotation between those guys. I mean, you know better than anyone. Like switching guard positions isn't necessarily that hard, opposed
nah,
to like switching tackle or going and trying to learn to play center. So
yeah.
I feel like they could easily get a 3-man rotation going between left and right guard with
I'm
those three
curious.
guys. So
Maurice Turner, another guy who had been injured most of the year. Now he's in a bit of a funky spot where we have 3 games left, and he has 2 games that he could play in and still preserve his red shirt. So theoretically, he could play Stanford, see how he looks, and if he's not feeling right or something like that, we can shut him down. But I mean, at this point, Isaac Brown's the guy. Like, and Duke Watson's also looked pretty damn good in the limited action he's gotten this year. Like, I think we've got our 2 main guys. Then you got Bama as sort of the thumper
yeah,
back. So, do
I
you think we'll
agree.
see Mo at all?
I don't know. I don't think we will, just based off how well Isaac and Duke have done these previous couple weeks, and even Don Chaney. I mean, like we said at the beginning of the year, it's a deep room. It just seemed like we couldn't figure out who that guy was. Seemed like everybody was clamoring for Isaac after the first game of the freaking
Yeah.
year, but it is what it is.
Hey,
Especially
that's a
going
lot.
into this week, man. I think this could be a big game for him again, just like every game is. But based off of their defense, I think it could be a fun
Yeah.
day for Isaac Brown.
So that's the reason I think Mo Turner could get some action against Stanford, just
Right.
because I we've watched more Stanford than I'd like to admit over the last couple of days. Just like, okay, let's figure out what they're doing. And just every time it's like, my God, their defense can't tackle at all. And
And
there's,
it's for me, it's the alignment with them. We'll get into it. We'll
yeah.
get into it deeper into the show. But yes,
So while we're talking about Stanford's defense, again, host of the show, Matt McGavick, sent over some fun stats. We were supposed to have a Matt stat segment, but life gets in the way sometimes, and that's okay. So,
so instead, I went into Chat GBT and I typed in Matt McGavick, Louisville journalist, writing on Stanford versus Louisville. And it came up with Matt McGavick is a journalist who covers Louisville athletics and sports for SB Nation. In his coverage, particularly for Louisville sports, McGavick often provides detailed analysis, breakdowns, and insights into team performance, player development, and matchups. I could go on further, but ChatGPT only lets me read so much for free, and I'm not going to pay for that.
you'll love to see it. Well, some of the stats he sent over, as an overall team, they graded out on PFF at a 70, which is the 3rd worst in Power 4. Do you have any guesses of the 2 teams that grade worse than Stanford? One of them is hilarious.
I'm always bad at this stuff, man. Who are we? Can you give me a conference or anything of
One is ACC and one is SEC.
ACC? Duke.
No. How did I know that was going to be your first guess?
Yeah.
It was the Knowles. The Knowles are graded
Poor
worse than
guys.
Stanford. And then
I kind of assumed that, but just for sake of my sanity, I had to say Duke.
No, you know what? No, I'm not gonna feel bad for them. Like, they deserve all the mocking and all the kicking they get while they're down, frankly, because I don't know when they're gonna be down again. So we got to get our shots in now.
At least not this down. I mean, I'm sure they'll be down where they win like 6 games, and you don't want to be a part of those 6 wins. But like this is pretty down.
Yeah. Mississippi State was the other team that's the only ones that have been graded worse than Stanford. Offensively, they're 127th in the country, passing 128th in the country. The only stats that they have that they aren't in the 100ths in the country is pass rush, which they're actually not too bad. They're 50th in the country in pass rush. And then tackling, which is not great either. It's 89th in the country. So this is a Stanford unit that is
It's
not
not very
great, Bob.
It's not PFF friendly by any
Yeah.
means. I'm sure they grade out differently as a team, though.
So one of the units that Matt had highlighted was their offensive line, and how stats can sort of be tricky because Stanford's offensive line has given up 20 sacks, 12 hits, and 76 hurries for 108 total pressures on the season. Real bad. Only 2 of their 7 offensive linemen that have over 100 snaps this year have graded above the average mark of 60. So, Jacob, I hope you're tuning in and listening, and I hope you're getting that Sack King board ready because it seems like this might be a game where we can start to throw some tallies up there. Like
Yeah,
this.
these guys should be licking their chops at this matchup. I mean, and a lot of the pressures, if you go back and watch the SMU game, are 4-man pressures. And it's like if we can just get home with 4 or 5, not really getting too creative on the blitzes, getting more coverage sacks. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
That's gonna be nice.
And it's one of those things where it's sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you're Stanford, because like you mentioned, SMU not really sending the house. One of the games I just watched was the NC State game where Dorn brought pressure all the time, and it seemed to always get home. So
Yeah, F it. I mean, why not? If you can one high man it and send pressure on go for it. Do it until they stop you or until they beat it.
Yeah, until Io Menor beats you 2 or 3 times. Yeah, blow them up. Like this is let your Todd Grantham out. This is where you third and Grantham and just blitz their ass off.
Exactly.
So now, Vince, I have a question for you. We've talked a little bit, and let's go ahead and dive into your preview, but I need to know, is this an official Vince's Game Notes, or is this just a own little one-off thing? Because I got to know.
Is it a spinoff?
Are the folks getting their ribbon candy?
I mean, it was just something I put together in free time I had. Hopefully, I can make it more consistent for opposing teams and stuff because it was kind of fun looking at the game in a different angle. Because whenever you're looking at trying to beat a team, it's just interesting at how you look at a game. I mean, Keith, you watched film before. It's just weird.
So we'll have to come up with a new name for the segment. Hello, everybody. It's time for Vince's Previews. Damn, Vince, where'd you find this?
That's perfect. That needs to be the Vince's Game Notes intro anyways. Damn, Vince, where'd you find this? You're the editor. Edit that shit in.
Oh, all this is in. We don't have an official transition or nothing. We're just rolling.
No, I'm saying for the official Vince's Game Notes on Sundays, you can edit that in. You have that power.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, so I got so essentially your title page, which looks beautiful. I worked very hard on this. I feel like I'm giving a PowerPoint for school back in the day. All right, next slide, Keith.
Cards v. cards.
So what I looked at here was Stanford SMU condensed game. I figured usually whenever you're scouting an opponent and this late in the season, you go back the last 3 to 4 games, and then usually a big game, a blowout, or something like that, and you find those variants in the numbers and everything. So I wanted to watch this one with it being, a blowout essentially, and I wanted to see, where a lot of Stanford's weaknesses were, why they kind of suck on the film. And if you're a YouTube fan, this is the time to get on YouTube and again subscribe and look. Just it's okay if you put me on the TV. It's not weird.
He's in a me and him both are in miniature windows. We shouldn't be exposed to a large enough
Exactly.
extent where things won't get cracked. A cell phone screen
Exactly.
is safe. Now, if you're casting us to the 70-inch big screen in the living room, that might be dangerous, but
Exactly. Exactly. So what you see right here is they're running a split zone play, and they're going to have man coverage up top over here, or not man. It's some form of a zone, but what you see is the receiver is going to try and get behind this DB right here, and this DB is going to be circled a lot throughout these plays that I show or clips I show. Keith, hit the next slide for me. So you see the read. It's something we ran often in Scott Satterfield's offense, the split zone, inside zone, or it is some form of a man. Sorry, I couldn't remember it looking at the last picture, but it's a split zone. We ran it all the time with Scott Satterfield, where the running back's coming straight downhill. We have the bubble screen coming off of it on the backside, and you can see the quarterback's eyes. I mean, I have his head circled. There's a stripe down the middle of his helmet. He's looking at that DB right there, and the wide receiver's looking at the same thing. He sees that DB is already breaking on that, so he's coming right behind him, and it's going to lead for just essentially a wide open pass. I think I have one more picture with this. Yeah,
right.
right there, slips right behind it, and this is something that Louisville is going to have to attack, and it's going to have to be the eyes of some of these DBs. And I noticed it throughout this game is their eyes were not in the right spot, and it seemed like an undisciplined type of a defense. Go to the next clip for me, Keith. Right here is essentially how you beat what Stanford is doing on their run game right here. It's they're running a pitch play. They're a very downhill type running football team. It's not, anything really creative. They're pulling two guys right here. It's nothing sexy. They're saying we're running the ball here and stop us, and SMU did stop them. How do you beat this type of runs? Is you beat it with penetration. And the nose tackle is who I should have circled right here. He gets extremely good penetration. These two guys, two offensive linemen, center and the guard, are trying to double team up to the linebacker, and I mean, penetration wins 10 times out of 10, Keith. You see it right here. He just long arms essentially the center and drives him straight back into the backfield. But what you notice is there's at least like 2 or 3 other SMU football players that are in the backfield here. On these pitch plays, you have to pick the right gas. As soon as you get out of gap and play, not fundamental football is where you get messed up. And you see there's every single running lane right there is closed for that running back. He has nowhere to go. And even if he reverse field backside, you have that guy over top right there, top of the screen that could make the play.
Yeah, the only critique I'd have on SMU is I'd like to see that backside end a little deeper in the backfield just to keep contained. But yeah, like this is just Stanford O-line getting their butts kicked.
Exactly, which is something I think our D-line is going to have a field day with on Saturday.
Like this is why we went in the portal and got all those D tackles and kept all the D tackles we did, like just to dominate the trenches. This is probably the biggest gap in talent in the trenches that we're going to see all year. Like we should manhandle this team.
Could not agree more. I mean, this is something that we've gotten beat on often this year, Keith. I mean, if you picture this right here, this split zone play, instead of that arrow, picture that being a wheel, and instead of that being a comeback, just picture that being a go of some sort or a really deep post, and that's one of the huge plays that we've gotten hit on. It's because of bad eyes, and I have good eyes highlighted here because I'm going to circle the SMU linebacker, and this is something that TJ and Stan Quan are going to have to be very aware of. Is this tight end coming backside, and not him just coming backside, but him slipping this block right here and getting out on a route, right? And it's going to have to be, it's going to be quick, but you're going to just have to trust it whenever it happens. Because, I mean, at the same time, this quarterback can run, and he could pull it down and take off. So you're going to have to trust that you're going to get this guy. You're going to get the tight end, which is your man. And I really should have circled the other linebacker over top because he's in great position right there to play the quarterback if he
Yep.
does take off and run.
Yeah, all in all, solid execution on SMU on this part, which
Yeah, yeah.
there's a reason they're rated as highly as they are. So credit to them.
And damn bastards. What I love out of this, and one of my favorite parts of defense, Keith, I'm sure one of your least favorite parts being an offensive lineman, is whenever they disguise the blitz and whenever the blitz is coming extremely late. If you guys, if the picture were a little bit clearer, if the guy who was taking these snapshots was a little bit better at what he was doing, you'd be able to see. Shitting on myself a little bit. You'd be able to see that Stanford's quarterback's head is down right here. And as soon as the quarterback's head goes down, especially after a motion, you see the I believe it's either the receiver or back out of the backfield is moving, and it's one of those motions where they snap the ball while they're still moving. So you can tell head down, motion's going, the ball is ready to be snapped, so it's time to move. Because Keith, as you know, offensive lineman, you can't really get your check. And whenever center's getting ready to snap the ball, you're trying to. I mean, it's just tough. And what I love here is it's just what five guys, yeah, 5-man pressure right here. Nothing crazy, nothing sexy. It's hey, we are going to add on as soon as the quarterback's head goes down and they get ready to snap the football.
Yeah, this is one where, so thankfully in the system I played in, they gave the O-line a lot of autonomy to talk amongst themselves. So like this is one where the tackle, and he's kind of in a risky spot. Doesn't look like he's showing it too much in photo one, but that's something where you need to have some sort of alert in place so that the guard can either one bail out to try and get to the outside if you're locked up on the edge, or and so that the center knows, oh God, I got to take this guy because the guard's got to get out of here.
It
But
looks like
instead,
it's in some form of I think it's a under G here, Keith, which would be a 3, and the shade or the
mhm,
and I mean, yeah, you're right. If that tackle were to just call it hot, slide the guard out with him, I mean, that would have to force everything else to slide as well. But I mean, you could definitely do it. It's all about just getting there
yeah,
extremely late. If you think you're going late, go like a click later because
yeah,
you're not.
and And this is also football on paper. Theorem, always way more difficult than practicum. So I'm not shitting on the O lineman here in this situation, as I just spent the first 10 minutes of the show doing. But at
Hit
this
the
point,
next one for me. I think it's just going to show whenever. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Just,
clean. Yeah, clean. All 5 of those guys are in some form or some shape or fashion right in his grill. So
yeah. Doesn't matter what you do adjustment wise if you can't win your block. So,
yeah. So what I didn't I don't even think I really highlighted it in that first picture, but it's the depth of the defensive backs is one thing that I think we are going to be able to attack heavily against Stanford, and you see it right here with all 3 of these guys circled, and the technique that they're playing was some form of a catch technique as well. And if they're going to be this far off, uh, this is something I think we can get on their heels big time. And if a guy like Chris Bell, if a guy like Ja'Cory Brooks, if they make their digs, their curls, their comebacks, their overs look like goes before they snap it off and break off that route or decide to start going over to run that over, uh, or even when they run that over, they make that over look like a drag or something coming more across the middle because their break is so crispy. This is something we can definitely take advantage of.
yeah. And if you get guys like this deep as well, get a guy like Ja'Cory Brooks, get him some motion heading back towards the center of the field, snap the ball, just quick little dump off screen where
Right.
he's already got some speed. Oh, especially if you get a look like this where it's one-on-one with maybe a single high safety. Oh,
Yeah.
goodbye.
Exactly.
Goodbye.
Hit the next clip for me. So this is one of Jacob's favorite things is the slants right here. And and I mean it's the depth. Like I said, go back to the first one, Keith, and then go back to this next one.
God.
He I mean,
Oh,
they're not even playing catch really on some of these. It's they're in their pedal, and it's like that's what going and when I say making your route look like it's going vertical, you're trying to get the DB to either open his hips, get in his pedal, any of those things so you can get him off balance and he can't make that T-step to come right back downhill and break up the pass or intercept the pass. So if they look at the Stanford defender right here, that inside receiver is getting the ball. His left leg is pointed more towards the first down, is more parallel with that first down marker than it is towards the receiver or where the receiver is going to be. I mean, that's what I mean whenever I'm saying you got to sell vertical, got to sell vertical. Like it's imperative to do that.
oh, yeah, because you get a guy backpedaling like that, which the ball's going to the inside man, but if we take a look at that outside D-back, I still don't think he's even broken on the route yet. Like,
Exactly.
he's gone.
And a guy like Coach Ponce, like he would prefer you to read it outside in because he thought that outside receiver was going to be open more like this, where the guy's so far off like that. Not sure how SMU teaches to read it, but shit, it worked for him right here.
Yep.
So this I'm gonna call him a rover. That sounds about like what they would call him on a football field. Mainly because I guess they run a 4-2-5
So,
or
similar to our star.
exactly, but he's not. He's more like Clemson's, where Clemson has that extra DB on the field at all times. Uh,
Okay.
are you seeing it now, Keith? There's the
Y
four down linemen, the two linebackers, and
yeah.
then they got
So more
five.
of yeah, more like a DB, less like a linebacker, sort
Yes,
of.
100%.
Yeah.
But this guy he's so far back that it's something we can definitely start to attack. Hit the next clip for me. It'll kind of show it a little bit better. Uh, I mean, in the run game,
Yeah.
not just the pass game. Like it's whenever we were talking about Isaac Brown having a big game earlier on in the
Mhm.
show, this is like what we're talking about. I talk on the Sunday recap show a lot about Isaac having that three-way go, two-way go, and he's making the right decision. This is that same situation right here with SMU and Stanford. And if you go back to the first one,
Yep.
second one, then go to the third one. He's literally moved a whole entire yard from where he started. Now, if the safety's going to do that, you can get
And
on his heels like or 2 yards. Excuse me. You can get on his he's already on his heels, but I mean we are gaining yards. Whenever Coach Owens is in the offensive line room and he's talking about playing on their side of the football, like this is how you do it. That dude's already back there. The offensive line or the receivers or whoever's going to climb to block that guy, or if he's the guy we're leaving in a one-on-one matchup, this is all day. I mean, look at
oh,
that. Look at that tackle right there, climbing up to the linebacker, second level.
I
That
was
linebacker is not punching at all. No
no.
hips, no engagement, nothing.
That linebacker, I'm guessing, was on his back before this play's over. And yeah, put Isaac Brown in this exact situation. That's a touchdown 9 times out of 10. And the 10th time is if his shoe comes untied and trips him. Like
Exactly.
that's,
Exactly.
and like this is 3.5 seconds since the ball was snapped. And this guy hasn't hardly moved. What the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
and,
I mean,
and like, if he was like a bona fide thumper or something, I'd get it. But I've watched games, and this guy has stuck out multiple times.
exactly.
The tackling's
He's
not great either.
he's the guy you have to go at. If I'm our offense, I'm looking at this guy.
Oh,
I'm circling him. I'm underlining, red dotting him. That's the guy I want to go at.
exactly.
So this next one, SMU did not run this play. I just got, you know, I saw how deep he was, and I was like, wow, we could. This is something that Jeff could potentially run off this, which is just we used to call that dragon to the left. It would be some form of so that's probably the running back right there. We would call it ace stack left, and then we would call T bounce. That'd be dragon out to the left. So that dragon concept would tell you that there's two digs, and that the inside receiver is going to have a cop route, which is a corner or post. I just decided to add the go on that as well, and then you just whatever you want to pair off on the backside. But this front side right here is your read. And if they're going to play a man type concept with this, with a one high safety, this is something we can attack. You get that
Yes.
guy. I mean, he is what 5,
15.
10, 50, yeah, about 15 yards off the ball. I mean, 16, give or take, however you want to count it. It's pretty far off the ball. So I just want to see Louisville be aggressive. Let's not be passive, be aggressive and attack these guys, particularly in this past game. Because I mean, Keith, every clip we've shown has had them playing some form of an off coverage.
Yep. This is so Reddit College Football has a weekly award called the Cobra Kai No Mercy Award for the team that runs up the biggest score on their opponent.
Right.
I fully expect us to be a nominee by the time this game is over because,
Yes, exactly.
like, it's just too easy.
All right, go to the next one for me. This is another one where I mean, it's going to be on the D line. Keith, we talked about how poor their offensive line is. We have the advantage there, and we have to outdo them. And I say outdued, but I really mean just win with effort, because you can
Yeah.
do that just as easy as being more talented. And a lot of times, those two things go hand in hand: your effort and your talent. So next clip, I think we might only have like two or three of these. Yeah, it's just showing how. I mean, there's a lot of one-on-one matchups. There's two on the outside right there, and there's one on that interior. Uh, and I
I mean,
mean,
we
it's something that for me, I
yeah,
just see points where our ends are just going to have a field day. If you just look at the back leg, the kick set of the tackle right here on the far side. I
yeah,
mean,
that
it's just not. It's literally out of the ground right now.
like you're getting pushed back at that point. You need to like at this point it's emergency, drop your ass and try to anchor as much as you can because you're whooped.
Exactly, which is it looks like what he's doing is getting ready to try and drop his ass to get low. But at the same time, bro, he's got 1 foot and out of the ground. If Ashton
Yeah.
Gelati long arms him right here, this is going to be a sack for him all day.
Yeah. It should be there's a guy on Rutherford show who goes by Decapitation Guy. So
Ah,
if you listen to the podcast as well, I fully look forward to hearing your text about Ashton Gelati getting a
that
decapitation this week. Because
is awesome.
who,
I hope
buddy?
that guy subscribes to our show. That is awesome. We need guys like that. We need 10 of him.
Exactly.
All right. Yep.
And then
Last clip with
yeah,
them just
just
showing
the
them
result.
finishing off. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the guy who's getting double teamed is still 3 yards of penetration on this play. I mean,
It's good pass rush paired with good coverage. Because if you look on the back end, all the guys, even then, are still covered up. I mean,
yeah,
you can
it's
maybe get that curl off, but I wouldn't bank on it.
that's it's a second, maybe 2 seconds of game clock have run, and the pocket's just already annihilated. Oh my god.
I think that was my smoothest 3 clip transition right there, too. That was pretty, that looked like it was, if you ever look at the folding, if you ever had a
Yeah.
notepad back in the day whenever you were a kid and you did the
Oh,
bouncing ball.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So something again that we've been hit with heavy, like we said it like 5 plays ago, which was that shark wheel type situation. Again, right here we have it. This time just with the curl on the outside. Teams football is really simple, y'all. I mean, this is the same concept that we've been hit with probably 3 or 4 games now for big plays, and Stanford's ran it twice in just the I think 10 plays that I pulled from their condensed game against SMU. It's all the same stuff. People just run different formations. They line up differently. They motion to it differently. Same situation. Uh, curl post, whatever, with a wheel coming on the backside. Linebackers' eyes, though, is what I love. Linebackers are always taught in whatever this. I think he has some form. I think he has hook curl right here because two goes out, his eyes immediately go to number one. And that is linebacker textbook all day 101. What I love is that he peeks the quarterback's head as well. Hit the next clip for me, Keith. It's going to show it a little bit better. Yep. So he has already analyzed. He's already saw that two has went out. So his eyes went to one, and he's trying to figure out where the quarterback's going to be in relation to one, and it's beautiful right here. He was just next clip. He was mere steps away from an interception right here, but TJ Stanquan, this is something that you have to be aware of, and something that with the speed Stanquan has, this could be a pick six for him all day right here.
Yeah, I would love to see Stanquan get another big play. I feel like it's been a minute since we've seen Quan make a massive play like this. So you're going to have opportunities.
Agree completely. I don't know. That might be it, or do we have more?
That is looks like that is it. So
I've ended my PowerPoint.
I low key, I loved that. Just diving in a little bit of film preview, just to look at sort of things we're gonna see. So
it's fun to figure out. Like I drew up that play just kind of off the top of my head, just figuring out based off the stuff we read in the past with Satterfield and Coach Petrino, and like you look at the damn game just completely differently whenever you're looking at it trying to beat an opponent, opposed to just hanging back, watching the game, making your picks, and enjoying it. Whenever you're trying to attack and beat a team, it is fun. You see all the weaknesses in the opponent, and I could have pulled 100 clips off that. Every single clip, I probably could have made a markup or had a comment of something to say where Louisville could have had success or not had success against it. And that's the fun of football. I encourage everyone to try and watch at least one condensed game of an opponent, an upcoming opponent, or watch our show on YouTube. I hear we do a pretty good job.
I've heard that once or twice, and one of the compliments we've gotten actually is not to toot my own horn, but that we don't just focus solely on who we're recapping or who we're previewing, but that we've expanded and started to give the whole conference a little bit of love. So, Vince, I got to ask, do you have your seatbelt ready?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Do you have your roadie ready?
Yes, we're good.
All right.
So this has just been vodka the whole time in this mason jar. I'm a psycho. I'm kidding. Water. It's water.
You're far too proud of your Italian genetics to pull a Russian move like that. Come on, leave
that is
very
true.
Me.
But my mom is from Campbellsville, and it's clear and in a mason jar, so that could be moonshine.
Shout out to the Georgetown Tigers getting a win over Campbellsville, by the way, because Tigers are orange, not maroon.
Shut
up. Hey,
that's the funny thing about us is like I guess we just kind of figured that out, that we low-key have an internal rivalry of Campbellsville and Georgetown based off of me being born in Taylor County. My dad graduated from Campbellsville. My mom lived her whole life there. So, yeah, I guess we got some beef now, Keith.
Campbellsville makes some of the U.S. Army briefs that they gave out. So very comfy, very snug, very supportive. Big fan of Campbellsville's work there. You're buckled in, Vince. Guess what? We've got a lot to go through, starting from a Friday night game and rolling all the way out until late on Saturday. So get yourself ready. It's time to go around the ACC in 60-ish seconds. Friday night, Wake Forest traveled to Berkeley, but they received no California love as the Golden Bears finally get their first ACC win. You know what the Georgia Tech has? Miami's number. Jackets win and take the lead in the all-time series against the Canes. Boston College runs the ball for over 300 yards as they beat Syracuse to get within one win of bowl eligibility in Bill O'Brien's first year. CJ Bailey finally looked like a true freshman as Duke beat NC State for their 7th win. Can you believe it, Vince? Virginia Tech looked strong in the first half, but after watching an abridged version of Facing the Giants at halftime, Clemson scores on 3 of their first possessions of the second half and gets the win over the Hokies. Know what the N in Notre Dame stands for? No mercy. Irish beat the Noles 52-3, and finally, we got a slobber knocker at Heinz Field. And what's that? Oh God, it's the ACC refs with a steel chair. They take out Pitt, and Virginia gets the win.
Was that Randy Marsh or was that Keith?
That was my best JR impression for you old heads who used to watch wrestling back in the day. But no, if you didn't catch that game, oh my God, Pitt. So they were down 2. Virginia's trying to convert a 4th and 1, and they get lined up, and everything's set up for the play to go, and Virginia snaps it and gets stuffed, but the refs blow the play dead and say it didn't count because they weren't in position, because the back judge hadn't backpedaled far enough before Virginia snaps the ball.
I love it.
So then Virginia gets another try, converts the 4th and 1, and continues to bleed the clock down in that game. And Pitt, we could have used them winning that game to make our game a little more important, but yeah, no,
I love upsets though, and the Miami one was definitely my favorite one of the weekend.
I wonder why that one is.
We were texting Robbie. I mean, that was a huge win for them, man. I'm so happy for my guy. I mean, it's always a great year having the fucking field flooded, man. It is awesome.
So one of my coworkers, his kid goes to Georgia Tech, and his brother was actually taking a campus visit that weekend. So he got pictures of like his kids on the field and his kids carrying the goalpost to get ready to throw it in that pool. And I'm like, well, one, congratulations for having smart engineer kids. But two, it's like, okay, no, he's going to that school. He just got a like core memory unlocked. It is a high schooler getting to do something cool like that.
Yeah, you got to go there.
But no, you like Robbie, if you tune in, all the credit to you and that coaching staff, because that's a hell of a schedule that they had to play this year. We were talking about it. Like if they make a bowl game, they get a lifetime Waffle House gift card.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's definitely been a fun year. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I know the Florida State win has lost its shine, but I mean, still at the beginning of the year to set the tone for the season like that in a different country.
Overseas. Yeah, go to a different country. You lose one of who I assume was going to be one of your top 2 or 3 running backs with Travion Cooley. I miss him.
Might have also died in this past game as well. Yeah. If you saw that hit, that was
that was damn. Yeah. But no, I cannot be more impressed with what they've done at Georgia Tech, especially with as strenuous academically as that school is. And yeah, you can make the comment, online classes, you don't have to do that. Like, no, Georgia Tech's one of the schools in the country that still actually makes you do school. Like, super impressive. And
not a lot of discussion boards you can do for mechanical engineering.
Exactly. And low key, just Haynes King, get as healthy as you can. Please beat the Dogs.
Yeah.
Please beat the Dogs. That'd be friggin' hilarious.
Yes.
Agreed. And might help us out because we're flirting. We're at 19, Vince.
And I know. And I know this was a hot topic in our group message today.
Well, that and like a lot of people
on social media.
A lot of people are still clinging on to it. Like,
I'm clinging. Hey, I'm going to cling as long as there's something to cling to.
You know,
you have to. I'm a Yankees fan. I was just down 3-1 against the fucking Dodgers, and I was still clinging.
Who is the Huckleberry Finn? What's the author's name? Why am I blanking on it right now?
I read books. I read the Bible and play books.
Oh, it was an old author's quote who was like, better to be optimistic and regularly wrong than to be pessimistic and right all the time. And I've never felt so targeted by an old quote, but like, I want to hope. And I love the people that do have the hope and think, oh no, we're doing it. We're in there. Like, I love you all. I hope
I'm not that insane. Go ahead. I was
going to say, like, I wish we had 100,000 more of y'all. That'd be great. Like, I love it, but I don't see it. Like, I'm buckled up. I'm ready for Pop-Tart Bowl. I'm ready for the Sun Bowl in El Paso. But hey,
okay, if we're gonna root for random bowls, you need to freaking root for the Pinstripe Bowl. Why don't root for what?
We were just in the Pinstripe Bowl.
No, we weren't. We were in the Fenway Park Bowl.
Oh, weren't we in the Fenway or the Pinstripe Bowl the year before that?
No, we've never played the Pinstripe Bowl. I would have went.
Oh, so we went to the better ballpark instead.
Whatever. That is absolutely ridiculous. I mean,
at least they justify their short porch with a 40-foot tall wall.
Yeah, they have to compensate for something over there in Boston. I guess having a 40-foot wall gets it done for them.
All right. Well, to switch things up and to hop back onto Stanford real quick, a couple players to watch out for. So Stanford, at least in what I had watched, they're a weird team because they have a couple of dudes, but unfortunately, they almost all of them are on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm going to highlight the one defensive player who sort of jumped off the page to me, and that was edge rusher David Bailey. He's the seventh highest defensive graded player in FBS and the fifth highest in power conference football. And this is another friendly Matt stat passed along. So he has a 93 pass rush grade, which is the highest in FBS among defenders with 100 plus snaps. And he actually covers well too with a 90.6 coverage grade. So David Bailey, kid's a mad lad out there. So Monroe Mills and Trevante Sylvester at the tackle spots going to have their work cut out for them. Might be seeing a couple of some tight ends staying home, or maybe some running back chips, or
Definitely chips.
Send that guard over to help a little bit too if you ain't got something on you, because he could be a problem on the defensive side. Offensively, the obvious answer, Eric Iomenor. Like, the kid's unreal. He's going to be playing football on Sundays. I wish he had a more talented team around him so he could shine more, but just an absolutely electric wide receiver. He's receiving 33% of the total targets from Stanford quarterbacks. And
that's a nice number to own.
Yeah, and the joke of screw it, someone's down there somewhere. Yeah, Iomenor's down there somewhere. Just throw the ball to him. And he's one of those guys like the Devontae Parker school of if he's covered, he's open. Like, he could be a problem if he's in single coverage. So I'm curious to see what we do there. Ashton Daniels, their starting quarterback, can make plays with his legs, very quick. If we can keep him contained and dare him to make some passes, I think that's where we can really take advantage. And a kid who jumped out in the NC State game, who I believe that was the first game he had played this year, because it seems like Stanford's reached the part of their season where it's like, okay, we can't go bowling. Let's try out some of the youth. Cole Tabb, freshman running back who they played, I think he had 11 carries for 75-ish yards against NC State. He's not Isaac Brown fast, but the kid's got pop. He can scoot.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go back to Ashton Daniels, and I think not Ashton Daniels. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Yes. Quarterback.
There's too many Danielses.
Yeah. It mixed up on the show notes for me. But pressure. He seemed like he was the guy. I highlighted those two plays where it was a 4-man rush, and it seems like he is antsy with this offensive line. Like, it's first read, and he is eyes down if it's not there. And he doesn't seem like the type of guy like Cam Ward, obviously not like Cam Ward, but, who's going to make plays, or even like Kay Klubnik, like with their legs and keep their eyes downfield. I don't think he's going to extend the football play very much. And, I mean, man, I just hope our D-line just eats up this game. This could be huge for them.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and move this over to the last little segment of the show. It's time for the predictions. So we went ahead and reached out to our friends Jacob and Matt beforehand. The spread is currently at 20.5 points at most sports books. Some places you can get an alternate line of 19.5. Some places you can get an alternate line of 21.5. But the baseline we're seeing most places is 20.5. So
what's our leaderboard? Do you have that? Do we have that right?
I don't have the exact games. I know that I'm in the basement and I'm a game behind you, Vince, because I went with the data instead of my heart, and
and Matt got one wrong, so Matt moved to having one. So me, Matt, and Jacob all have one loss now.
No, right? Is that how it works? So no. Matt and Jacob are games ahead of you, I believe, because I think Jacob took the car. I think I was the only one who took Clemson on the last show, if I remember correctly. We'll go back and we'll get the notes. Right. I know I'm a game behind Vince. That's what I know right now. So
keep it that way. So you can pick first, Keith.
Oh, I'm picking first this week. Come on now. Last place privilege. Come on now. Well, we'll announce Matt and Jacob's picks first, which they sort of surprised me a little bit. And by that, I mean not at all, given everything we've talked about on the show. Yeah, both of them are taking the Cards, giving up the 20.5 points. So Vince is third place. We'll send it over to you.
Yes, and I'm just going to reiterate what Matt and Jacob said and take the same pick that they had because I think that is the logical pick with the Cards. So
yeah, so the clock's creeping up on me, and at
are
some
you
point,
gonna pull
at,
trig and like
at
go for it and go for Stanford? Not go for Stanford, but hope that we win in the points.
Sometimes when you let off the gas late, you can let up a nasty little backdoor cover on a late
Right,
score or
right,
something along
right,
those
right.
lines. I don't think that's going to be the case this game. Like, we legitimately could put up a 60 burger here.
I agree,
It
bro.
could get,
It's looking ugly.
like, with the advantage we have in the trenches and the advantage, and it's not even just that. Like, Stanford's getting blown out by not great teams. Like, if this was the Stanford team that showed up to play Syracuse, maybe. That
Yeah,
team has been long dead. And this team's getting just beaten down by Virginia Tech. They're getting beaten down by NC State. Now, that NC State game got a little weird because they gave a ton of huge plays late. But yeah, we are a team that is more than capable of hitting huge plays. So
yeah.
it's a boring show this week on the prediction side. We're all taking the Cards and we're laying the 20.5.
But one more thing to add just before we close out the show, there's the notion of I mean, not really notion. There are a lot of stats that back up Jeff dropping a game after a big not blowout, but a big win over a top 5, top 10 opponent.
We,
I don't
we
think
took
that'll be the case for this week, just based off of us having a bye week in between that win and the fact that I'm
we
sorry, Stanford. I would love your degree, but I do not love your football team.
we talking about the Jeff Brom refractory period over here.
Yeah, we're just not going to talk. That's going to be our only acknowledgement of that the entire show.
So yeah, and there always is, like, we saw it with Pitt last year where we were high on our own supply, came out flat and lost against Pitt last year. The bye week coming at the perfect time after a big game like that gives you time to recuperate, gives you time. And plus, with the way the schedule's gone, like, this team already had a humbling loss, and I'm still going to call it that despite SMU's success. You lost to SMU at home. Like,
Agreed. Should not have
that's
happened.
that's your bonehead loss for the year. Like, we're coming
And I
out. We're
think
gonna.
I think you're people talk about peaking at the right time too, Keith. Like you mentioned, it's the win. It's the bye week after Clemson, and you're just feeling good during that practice. Like stuff is clicking now. Like your stuff clicked in that game on Saturday, and you just translated even more into a week's work. I'm sure they had two extremely, if not two of the best weeks of practice of the year for them.
I certainly hope so. But yeah, run it up, boys. No mercy. Put a big number on the board. Let some of the young bucks get on the field. Maybe we finally get an answer on who QB2 is if we could get up
Ooh.
big enough.
I want to see some Pierce Clarkson action, but you just reminded me of remember the Titans. Run it up, Herman. Where he looks over after the blitz
like,
all night. Yeah.
like, I love Pierce, but I may have caught myself watching a little bit of Deuce Adams highlight action over the bye weekend, like, just to see what we've got in the chamber. Kid's got an arm.
I
Kid's
agree.
got
I
an
love
arm. So
Deuce's film coming into Louisville. I agree though. We got to figure out who is going to be. If are we going to be looking at bringing in a veteran guy again, like the guy we got now, like Tyler, or are we going to roll with the young bucks and try and load up with some weapons for the young bucks? So
yeah,
it's going to be a new topic for the off season.
it would be nice to see what the young bucks can give us. So blow them
Oh,
up
another
early.
fun thing for the YouTube would be before we log off for the comment section. Keith, I feel like you and I can announce this since you and I are going to be doing it. It's in the off season since you and I are not basketball guys.
Yeah,
I did not watch the Tennessee. I'm sorry, I didn't watch much of the
same.
Tennessee
I
game.
haven't
I
watched a
mean,
minute.
I watched it. I watched some, but not a whole lot. Uh, we are going to essentially do a games with names type show with Louisville football. If you're familiar with Games and Names, it's a Julian Edelman podcast where he goes throughout the NFL and covers big games. big weeks of the season, anything like that. I mean, and I'm talking going back. Coach Belichick, how he knows all the football. So Julian just heard it all these years. So Keith and I would love to have done something like that with Louisville football, and we decided to do something of that type with this show. So if you have any fun small segment names for it, if you have any questions, drop them down in the comment section. We might pick yours. We might not. I don't know. Keith's a pretty creative guy himself. But example for this, show type would essentially be, say like we have Fiesta Bowl. Keith and I want to look at Fiesta Bowl film. It would be really fun to talk to a guy like Ralph Dawkins, who, had a phenomenal year and was a phenomenal running back for us back in the day. It's stuff like that. It's not just talking to, the James Quicks, Jalen Smiths, the guys that I played with and everything. It's about going back and appreciating Louisville football. And it's not just the big games either, like the Fiesta Bowl game. Having a guy like Blanton Creaky on and have him talk about, the game-winning field goal he hit against Florida State in 2017, just for the just the randomness. There were so many random games that people love. So if you love, Louisville football like Keith and I do, drop your random game in the comment section as well that you might want us to look at in the basketball season. Just anything, any random game. It could be August, whatever. Just random Louisville football.
Blow them up in the podcast reviews too. Drop those games in there too. We check that audio side too. So get in there. Load us up with your favorite games. Like I'm going to take a basic one just because it was probably my favorite game I've been to in person. 2013 Keg and Nails at Cincinnati. Great game. Froze my ass off. Great game.
That would be sick. That would be sick. And I mean, Teddy, if you listen to this show, that would be sick. One, that you listen to the show. And two, that'd be a great game to cover.
Right? All right. While you're down there in those comments and reviews, make sure you're following, make sure you're subscribed wherever you take in all your From the Pink Seats podcast action. Thanks again to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy, our friends over at Kern's Corner, and of course, everyone at the State of Louisville Podcast Network. So, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. That's Vince Lococo. I'm producer Keith. As always, go Cards.